just setting up my painting desk for the day. And also I have a little bit of Beyonce wind today because it's freezing cold in the studio. It's concrete. The floor is. Not everything is concrete. Anyway, and the heater's broken. So I have a space heater blowing directly at me. It's giving me this nice. Also, I had a comment in one of my videos about how I need to look at where the camera is when I'm talking. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to do that. Imagine being in conversation with somebody. My eyes are watering because I choked on my spit a little bit ago. Imagine being in conversation with somebody, but the person you're talking to, or you are doing this, you're just like a little bit off to the side while talking, and you can see this person over here like listening to you or talking with you, but you're looking this way. Like there's no connection to what you're saying. It's really hard to focus when I'm like looking off to the side, but I can see myself over here. It's just nice to, even if it's yourself, have eye contact or be looking at someone while you're talking. It helps you focus. It helps you stay on target of what you're saying. Like if this wasn't already obvious in last week's video, I have pretty intense ADHD that I'm actively working on and improving. But these freaking things, I'm filming with it. This thing right here, this telephone, this smartphone, I sound like a curmudgeon when I talk about social media and smartphones, but it's true. It's ruining our focus, people. It's designed to do that, to have you be all over the place with your attention. Anyway, that is not how I anticipated starting this video, but I am going to be setting up my paint desk. I'm also going to be using, for a little Clarence illustration today, this angle wash brush, 1/2 inch, this clear one right here. This is the Heritage Synthetic Sable 4050 brush set that includes a round size 2, 6, 12, and the angle wash. I'll link to it in the description. But it's available on Blick. And yeah, I love, obviously you guys know this, I love Princeton. It's where my favorite brushes are. It's also, I helped make this brush, the Blooms brush. Okay, I'm gonna get the rest of my stuff. My beautiful palette that really stresses out the type A's. I did this last week, but I am not happy with the shape or with this shadow under Clarence. I'm trying to show him tilted up. So I want, obviously the bottom of his undercarriage, but he's genderless. I don't know. Maybe he's like part robot. I'm not really sure. Yeah. Anyway, this needs to be in shadow. And I don't like how harsh this is. I did this with black ink and it's too dark compared to his body. And then I want the base of this flower to be, because obviously I gotta have a flower in my children's book. It's like what I do. This flower, I want it to be a lighter pink. And then, I don't know if I'm gonna do the oil pastel. I need to get it thinner down in here for him to not be so overwhelmed with holding this thick thing. But I love the texture that the oil pastel is giving. So I'm gonna redo this one today and I will just have you guys hang out while I do that. But to recap on what I did last week. We went from this, I didn't like the shape, but I liked the direction. This was a test. So I cleaned up the shape and did this one because this was too big and like there's too much going on, too many curves. So I wanted it to feel like a glowing, like hair almost, chunk of hair. And so that one's good to go. And then I have this ball of twisted anger right here. And then our sadness, little gust of sadness. Okay, so now I'm going to be repainting this illustration. I did a lot of different tests for the type of flower that I wanted to do. Like, did I want it to feel more wet and wet, like these flowers? But they kind of started looking like nipples to me. So I decided to just keep it, instead of having like the dark center. This one's really nice though. I like that one. That's not too nipply. But I did quinacridone red, lots of water, and then quinacridone red mixed with dragon's blood for that center. And then y'all know me, this is green gold for the leaves. But I'm probably not going to do leaves because it's just supposed to be the one color in relation to what is being said in the story. So I'm going to redo that now. This is my rag, my painting rag. It goes under my water cups for drying my brush off and stuff. I really like this because you don't have to use so much paper towel. So get yourself, this is, you know, just some cheesecloth, not cheesecloth. What is this? I don't know. Linen? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know my fabrics. I'm not a fabric girly. But it's some sort of cheap towel fabric. No wasting paper towels. And just to catch you up to speed, if this is the first video that you're joining of the Clarence Chronicles on this channel. Woo! Hi, hello. I'm writing a children's book called, I'm not telling you the title yet, actually, but there's a character named Clarence, and there's a crow. Actually, he's going to look more like this, but with a longer tail. Like a blend of these two, but with a longer tail. And Clarence, just to give you the gist, is learning how to express his emotions in the story. And there's a really nice tree that I'm super proud of. That took me a solid 5 weeks of refining and discovering through other not so great trees. Some of them were really great, and I had to make difficult decisions. Like, I really liked the tree that had the orangish trunk and the blue leaves. That one, I was planning on using that one, but then let's just say this one, the one that I just showed you, fits more with the environment of the story and the undertone message that I'm trying to convey. So, like, I really love the vibrant one, but when we're introduced to the tree, I want it to feel like everything in Clarence's world is very bare and very, like, cold. So, I'm going with that tree. Okay. Trash. And we're upside down. I was made to paint. I wasn't made to be a videographer and a content creator, okay? Actually, you know what? I am pretty good at making content. I just don't like it. I just don't like the activity of doing it anymore. That's why I've been really into YouTube Shorts. I've been posting a lot more. It's probably so annoying. I've been posting a lot more on YouTube Shorts. I feel a little bit more like I don't scroll YouTube Shorts. I'm just there to post and then engage with my comments and community and stuff. Whereas, like, when I open Instagram to post, it's like this temptation to keep scrolling is like, it's like designed to make you do that. That's why we have to be very, very mindful in our lives, in everything that we do, so we don't get sucked into doing things that are actually not conducive to who we want to be. So anyway, you know me and my tangents. Here is my paper and here is my hand. I am gonna sketch things and then I'm gonna paint things. Okay, so got a little sketch for Clarence because I wanted to show his face pointing up. I have that oval at the bottom. That's his undercarriage area. And then obviously he's that gumdrop shape. And I want the flower to feel like it's coming at you, like it's like he's down there and the flower's closer to us. I might actually need to make him smaller now that I am talking out loud about it. Now I need to find my eraser so that he can be smaller, because he will definitely need to be much smaller to show that he is far away. Silly crows. Okay, all that, and we gotta redo it. That's just a part of the process, you hear? You heard? Gotta be patient. Gotta trust the little tiny speck of paint. Somehow. I literally haven't even picked up a paintbrush yet. I don't know how that happened. Dude, crows, please, man. Hopefully you guys can't hear that very well. Okay, start with the oval for Clarence. He's gonna be much tinier, so we need a much tinier oval. You probably can't see this, but here's a little oval. And then I'm gonna grab the sides of that oval and bring it up for my gumdrop. Doing shorter C curves to get that, these crows, perfect gumdrop shape is important. If you're just gonna freehand this upside down U, you're gonna be like wobble town. Okay, and then because that was done a little dark, I'm gonna just lightly graze over it with my eraser. To lighten it, because Clarence is a very pale gray, very see-through transparent gray. So I'm okay with a little bit of pencil showing through, but I don't want it to be too aggressive. Okay, we'll have him stand. So picture yourself standing and looking up. You kind of have your feet turned out, usually. Maybe a little stagger stance. So he's got turned out feet. And then he's got this arm right here that is gonna be flipped up. So I'm gonna do a C curve this way and then join that C curve with where the top of his arm will be a little bit shorter. So we have another U shape for his arm for this position. Erasing it a wee bit so it's not too dark. Here's his little V for his hand. And then this one will just kind of be dangled. That's too long. Okay, here we go. And he's looking up, so here's his bottom. His eyes will be up a little higher, and so is his mouth, to show his tilt up. Hi. Cutie. And then we have our flower, which will be kind of on this tail. I'm not going to draw the flower because I've been painting flowers in my sleep. You know, I know flowers pretty well. Okay, so for this flower, I am going to use the Blooms brush. This is the prototype of it, so it's different looking. It doesn't have the branding and the red soft handle. But this is available in my Amazon shop and in my Blick shop, depending on what price you like or where it ships, all that kind of stuff. But this is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I know I did help Princeton make this brush. But they asked me for my help for a reason, because I paint flowers all the time, and I wanted a brush that was bouncy and snappy, but also you don't have to do tons of work to get the shape of the petals, because the shape of the brush, which it's a filbert, a size 12 filbert, is the exact shape of the petals or the style of petals that I paint for loose florals. So anyway, on the side and flat. So great brush. It's called the Blooms brush. It's available on Amazon and Blick and other art supply stores, possibly in your area. So I'm just going to I'm trying to think what kind of pink I want as the base. I might want a pale pink so that this oil pastel there's more contrast for it to show up. But this is the part where you have to kind of like close your eyes and envision stuff and use your imagination. So even if you never thought that you wanted to write a children's book, doing some sort of project like this where you're coming up with and creating the world from scratch on your own is a very, very useful exercise in your painting journey, because you get to learn or activate your imagination a lot more, and also trusting that process, because I might really like something in my head, but then once I paint it, I'm like, ew, that's gross. Stuff like that happens. And so you have to be really patient. I'm searching for my white paint. You have to be really patient, and you have to trust the process. Where's my white? Here it is. All right. Yes, I'm using acrylic paint. Why am I using acrylic paint? Well, mainly it's because I'm lazy. I ran out of white gouache like months ago. And so I was in desperate need of white, and I used this. Can you get it off of your palette? No, it's not like watercolor or gouache. So user discretion advised. I don't care what people say about it. I got comments on a video where I was using this about how like I shouldn't be using it. There's a lot of, and I say this from a place of no judgment, I promise, I swear, because like I'm sure it's really important. And there are tons of people out there who are like officially formally trained in art. Unlike myself, I'm self-taught. However, I do think that there's just like a twinge, either one, of like, and I say this again with no judgment and just love, but there's just a tinge of uptightness in the art community a little bit. There's just like a little bit. So, and that's fine. Again, no judgment. I don't even know if I'm in the right. But I just don't think that certain things, especially for people who are just like trying to fit in an art hobby in their lives, and they don't want all of this headache of things to remember to do and not to do, and oh, you can't hold your brush that way, oh, you can't use this paint with that like, or that one's blah, or what am I saying? Yeah, that one's too fugitive to use, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Like, is it important for the level that you just want to have like a nice, peaceful art practice? Probably not. But for other people, it's totally appropriate. Okay. Anyways, I use this. And I'm going to use it in this palette because this is just kind of like my whatever palette. So I'm going to add a little bit of pink to that white acrylic paint. So the pink is watercolor, and it needs to be darker than that, that's for sure. So we're gonna wash that off and grab some quinacridone red, Quin Red. Mix that in. She's gorgeous. Maybe a little touch of green. Plot twist, not what I thought she'd say. Some green gold to make it a blushy pink. It's adding yellow to it and a little bit of brown, and then obviously green. So it's this nice blushy pink. But that was like a tiny touch of green gold. Okay, now we paint a flower. I want it to be opening at me, at the viewer. So my center will be here-ish. And we'll start with petal number 1. So for using the blooms brush, I like to hold it at, if I'm doing a flat, fat petal shape, I'm gonna hold it flatter. I'm gonna hold it at like 35 degrees, not vertical. And the top of the petal is always the top of the brush for this brush, because it's the shape of the petal. I have a really good video on how to use this brush on my YouTube, so I'll link to it in this video. So I want like medium pressure, and then I kind of twist at the bottom to get the brush on its corner. And then I'll just fluff that up. I'll give it a little bit more width over here. Where's my paint? Oh God, where did I put my palette? Here she is. A little bit more paint. What am I saying? And then, okay, so my shape. And then for maybe this petal over here, we'll do more water to mix in some of that nice blendy blend. I'm gonna make this blend a little bit more by dropping in some more pigment on that petal. Soften and bring that up. So the corner of the brush, like when I use it like this, gives me that nice almond shape at the top. And I can even get it more pointy the higher up I go on the brush. Let's fill that in a little bit more so you can see it. Okay. And I'm gonna do a petal that's kind of curled in. Over here. Maybe grab a little bit more pink to just touch that in a little bit for some contrast. And I'm always pointing back to that center point with all of my petals and all of my details. Otherwise, it looks very strange. And then we will go more flat, pointing at me here. And here. Now grabbing more pink, and we're gonna add in a front row of petals right here. I wasn't planning on doing this, but it just felt a little empty over there. And I'm doing this while it's wet. Make it more peony shape. Everyone loves peonies. So it's getting fuzzy because the base petals are wet, but because I'm using a creamy consistency of this pink, it's not spreading too much. And then when that dries, I'm gonna go back on top of it. Or that's what I'll carve out with the oil pastel, actually. That's what it'll be to incorporate it. Okay. Little accenting of some of these petals over here. I like that color, actually. Do that. Okay, she's coming together. And then that pink, this pink, or maybe this orange, because there's like, it's kind of a reddish orange color, but I don't know. I'll probably do this pink. I'm gonna do that pink. Ooh, I want to do a little bit. The more you stare at something with patience and a slower pace, don't try and hurry. When you slow down, that's when you see things that you need to add. But if you're just like trying to bang it out and work quickly, which I understand those feelings, because especially with watercolor, you have a wet medium that you like want to add stuff to sometimes when it's wet, and make sure you get all the things in place. But you can go a lot slower usually. And you can always re-wet things. And when you go at a slower pace, when you like match your breath to the rhythm that you are painting in at a slower pace, you start to like see what it's needing, you know? So this is with a little bit of permanent red light mixed with that pink. And I'm just like, this section right here is still pretty wet. Let's zoom in a little. Pretty wet. So it's giving this like faded petal shape in here with the darker red, which I'll accentuate a little bit more with the oil pastel, and I really hope I don't ruin it when I do that. It's so stressful. Okay, I'm gonna thicken this up even more. Or maybe I just do watercolor, but I like the texture. And maybe a little dragon's blood now with this reddish pink for an even deeper red, but just in here and there spots. To carve out more in-betweens, you know? Like not adding it everywhere, but just to like show separate petals like every other little bitty ditties. Cover up this cauliflower back there. I like this bloom that's happening that's like really pale pink and lighter pink, medium pink, and then like the darkers. So I'm not gonna do anything over there. Or if I do, it'll just be like boom. You just gotta like go for it, you know? There's no way around it. You just gotta like hold your breath and do it. But do it with confidence, because it'll show if you're not. You know? Nope, don't like that. So if I don't like something, that just looks like a weird knuckle sticking out, because these look like 3 knuckles to me. So I'm gonna clean my brush off, dry it off, and lift that away. Ooh. Phew. Okay, back to life, back to reality. Even more dragon's blood. Leave it there. All right, so that's all for today, folks. I'm not gonna do like this massive video. And I'll show you what this illustration looks like in next week's video once I finish it. Thank you for watching, as always. Thank you for the comments, the engagement on these videos, and letting me know like that you guys are really liking the topics that I'm talking about and all of that kind of stuff. And for just cheering me on during this whole endeavor of writing and illustrating a children's book, which 6 months ago, I did not know I was going to be doing this, but I had a very, unavoidably obvious, like, premonition, I guess, or whatever, from something else that happened in our lives. And it just, like, Clarence was born. He just was born. So here he is, and the story of Clarence was just born, and it flowed. And so here we are now. I guess I'm writing a children's book. I already wrote the story. If you've been watching these videos, you know all this, but I've already written the story. It's all done. And I'm like 3/4 of the way done with the illustrations. So the next phase, once I'm done with the illustrations, is to scan everything and to clean it up in Photoshop, and then to do the layout and the spreads. And then it goes to print and production. And then it is available for purchase. So, wow, what a ride. It's been fascinating. I've learned a lot about myself and about the creative process, and I've been sharing pretty much in real time in all of the videos. Like my thought process and the steps to doing this thing, which is using your imagination and coming up with a world of your own, and exploring and trusting the process and all of that. Anywho, if you haven't watched the other videos, I highly recommend. They've got some gems in there. I've gotten comments and messages from people saying that they like to put these videos on while they're painting. So that's cool. I like that. It's like a podcast / FaceTime with a friend, with an artist friend. At least that's what I feel like the vibe is, but I am not the viewer. Anyway, okay, cutting myself off. Thank you guys for watching. This has been so fun. I can't wait to update you on this illustration next week. I do post some behind the scenes on my YouTube shorts and also on my Instagram stories and whatnot. So make sure you're following along there for like little daily tidbits of Clarence sprinkled in. And if you're not on my email list yet, you should definitely join there. I'm also sharing more of my heart and behind the scenes of writing Clarence and stuff like that in my email list. We send out a weekly newsletter every Monday. I don't spam you. They are responded to every single day. We get responses every single day of people going through my email list and getting my emails of like, wow, this is the best email I've ever read. So, you know, just like a little bit of a shameless plug there. It's great for artists. It's great for anybody who wants to be more creative, and not just artists too. Anyway, all the supplies I use are linked in my description below. If you have any questions, comment on this video. If you have any other things to say, comment on this video. It is very appreciated. And I'll see you guys next week. Happy painting.